Okay, we're going to get started here. There's probably still going to be people popping in and out through the duration of the meeting, but we will get started with our July meeting. Welcome, everybody. My name is Sugar Palino. I am the co-owner and co-founder of Island Oasis. My job here in Island Oasis is to take care of everything that happens on the grid, all issues. My partner and real life husband, co-owner and co-founder also is Damien Palino. Damien takes care of keeping the grid running. He does all of the programming, the technical kind of things. He implements all the new things. He does all the beta testing. And the other person on our staff, which is on our executive staff, is Sophia Palino. She is also the director of marketing. Sophia really is like our right hand. She helps us take care of every aspect of Island Oasis. For those of you who do not, or for those of you who do remember Sub-Zero Palino, he is no longer a Palino right now due to real life issues. He is not able to be here. But he tries to pop in when he can, so you might see him every once in a while on here, which is good because I miss him. Okay, moving forwards, stats. Let me get up my page. Okay, currently active regions we have is 200. Total number of residents is 7,054. Total logins the last 30 days is 5,242. And the unique logins in the past 30 days is 968. We have, as of June, we had an awesome month with new accounts. There was 328. As of this month, we've already had 54, and it's only the 6th, so we're really doing super awesome. In May, just to kind of give you an idea, May we had 237. April was 146. So June was 328. Awesome, awesome numbers. I can minimize. And Damien, if you could do our money stats.
Sure thing. Can anybody hear me? I'm sitting a little further away from you guys, so okay. Okay, smart ass. Anyhow, yeah, barely. Okay. You can turn me up a little. I don't talk as loud as Sugar, so you can turn me up a little. Our currency stats and the statistics that I'm about to read to you is in world currency statistics. And that is to say the total number of financial transactions in world between members over the past 30 days was 4,630. It's considerably more. Well, for example, on June 18th, we only had 1,556. This as of today, it's 4,630. And in the past 30 days, there has been almost 400,000 Palinos change hands between members in the past 30 days. So that's really good. That number is climbing. We currently have 1,556,000 Palinos in circulation right now. So people are shopping, buying stuff, so it's good. We're starting to see an increase in that.
Okay, leading from that leads me into my next thing I want to discuss. The growth we are having. I think it is great with the growth that we're having. That being said, for those of you who sell content, sell a service, rent land, if you're providing something for members, this is going to pertain to you. New people come on the grid and they ask, where can I find a house? Or where can I get shoes? Or where can I get furniture? Your typical things that a new person would like to be able to buy. Or where can I get land? I want to rent a parcel. Our classifieds you do not have to pay for, but they do expire. So you need to make sure in your profile you have a classified. At the very least, have something under pictures so that way if they happen to stumble across your profile, they could see what you're selling with a landmark there. But it is imperative that you have your classified up to date because you may be selling things. A lot of people are still, I call it the SL mentality. Because SL is so popular, and not even InWorlds or OS Grid or Abby Nation, nobody is even close to the amount of content in SL. That's just a given. They come over expecting just to see all these shops and people coming up to them, oh, go shop here, shop here. That is not like that on any virtual world except for Second Life. So when people do land on a new grid, they have to use the search. When they use the search, if you do not have a classified, you will not show up. For those of you who are sim owners or you own your parcel, you need to have something in the description. So if you have shops on your region and you have shoes and clothes, furniture, you need to list all of these keywords, whatever is on your shop or whatever on your region, to help people find those stores. Because if people look under the Places tab and search, as long as you have those keywords in there, you will show up under the Places. So it is imperative that you guys do this. I've been going around kind of periodically to different places that I know are here, and speaking to the creators or the sim owners or what have you, because they were not searchable. And we have great content here on the grid. We just need to let these new people know who you are and where to buy it. Because again, it's not SL, it's not, in order to sell content on an OpenSim grid, on any OpenSim grid, you got to work a little bit harder than you would have to in SL.
Right. And I'll just point out too, and I think that's because, and coming from SL, been there, spent years in SL before we started out at Oasis. You kind of get used to the idea of, okay, foot traffic. I can rely on foot traffic. I can rely on word of mouth for advertising, and that works to a certain extent. But in most cases, you have to make that little bit of extra effort to ensure that people can find you. So, Places search, classified is critical, very critical. Even go a step further. No, I don't want to step on Allie's toes or Sugar's toes, but I'd even go a step further. Create a Facebook page for your avatar. Join our Facebook group because we have over 1,300 members and we're adding people every day, and advertise your things there. That's another way to connect to other members outside of the grid, as well as it's a way to let people know what's going on, events, new product releases, new store location. That's a great tool. It's there. Take advantage of it.
Just to let you know, there are people in IO. I try to ask the new people, so, how did you hear of us? Just so I can get an idea of, marketing things. And there has been a handful of them that have said, I seen you on Facebook. So we not only have our members from IO on our Facebook, we have a lot of outside members also. And that's great because that will help bring in more people. Yeah, definitely. Definitely go to Sophia. Um, I don't know if it's on your note card or not, Liz. I'm trying to look. Um, the business directory and things like that. If you could just touch base when you get up here.
Yeah, all of that's on the note card that I'll kind of review, but I have a note card I can pass out to anyone that has all of these network places listed.
Okay, awesome. Because we do get the people that come here and say, well, you don't really have any content. Well, we do. I know we do, because even the people that aren't searchable, I know who's on the grid and who's not on the grid. And that's why it's so important. I don't want you guys to miss out on any sales or any potential sales. And I don't want our new members to think, well, there's just nothing here, when there actually is. Same if you're going to be doing renting out parcels or anything. Get your name out there, get it classified, have keywords in the land description. If you're not sure how to do any of that, talk to either myself, Damien, or Sophia, and we can help you get yourself searchable. We also have lots of other ways to get yourself out there so people can see you. I will let Sophia talk more about that. So that's a big, huge thing. Please make yourself searchable. Next thing I want to talk to you guys about is graders and mentors. What are they and what are the differences? We've had a lot of interest for people coming over from SL wanting to be a greeter. I think that's absolutely fantastic. What a greeter is we have 3 chairs down at the welcome zone where our new members land. You would sit in those chairs. You get 4 Pelino every 10 minutes. You're allowed to sit there 2.5 hours a day. You can sit for as long as you want or as little as you want. There's no set schedule. You have to have a basic knowledge. That's why I don't allow people, like, the second they land in IO and they say, I want to be a greeter. I think it's great. But there's certain basic knowledge of Island Oasis that you have to know in order to become a greeter. If you don't know what grid this is, how do you greet somebody? Hi, welcome to this grid. You have to have kind of basic knowledge. So that's why I let everybody know, just as soon as you get settled in, let me know, and we'll get you in the position, because I will ask questions, because you need to know the basics. Now, once you've been a greeter, Candy Bar right here, he is a mentor. He's one that can tell you. Mentors are a little different. They have a lot more knowledge about Island Oasis than what is required of a greeter. They also have to spend, it's on a kind of on a schedule, but it's their own schedule. They have to spend 4 hours a week, a minimum, at the welcome zone. They can still sit in the greeter chairs and get paid, but they have to spend 4 hours a week still down there. But in return, they also get a parcel on staff land, which, as long as you remain a mentor, you get about 2,000 prims. And that's for residential only, but as long as you remain a mentor, you can keep that land. So, like, and Candy, I know, Candy, I'm singling you out, so bear with me. Thank you. um, when somebody lands on the grid and they ask kind of general questions of, oh, where can I get free things or whatever, the greeter is just supposed to know where to send them to for the free mall or direct them over to the info kiosks. But now if somebody comes up and asks, okay, I would like to know the different prices of your land and how to go about buying it, or how do I get Palinos, and are they exchangeable for in different worlds and things? That's where someone like Candy, he has to have that knowledge and be able to tell them and walk them through all the different steps. So there's kind of a big difference, and the longer you're here as a greeter, the more of that knowledge you'll be able to get. I do encourage everybody to be a greeter and hopefully move up to a mentor, because we have a great place here for people, and we want to welcome all of our new members in. Because it's never fun when you try out a new grid and you're like there by yourself when you first land. It's always fun to be able to meet people and have friends right away, to be able to ask questions. So moving on to the next part, meeting people, we have every Friday, which we have done now for a few weeks. Yeah, with the exception of this past Friday because it was our holiday. We have our Friday meet and greet. The meet and greet is for every member on the grid. It doesn't matter if you're 30 seconds old or if you're 3 years old. It's for every member to come down to the Java joint and just talk, network, let people know who you are, make friends. We talk at, me and Damien are there. Sophia is there. We have 2 separate times. Sophia is usually there at nighttime. The first one is at 8 a.m. IO time. And the second one, also still on Friday, is at 6 p.m. Right? Yes, 6 p.m. IO time. We just sit down at the Java joint and talk about anything and everything. And some of the conversations have been really weird. But, it's a time just to get to know people. When we're there, there's new members landing all the time. Candy's been there for a few of them. So he's seen people just popping in and going. It is a great, great place for you to network, for you to make friends. Because the more people that know you, I'm not even sure how to say that. A virtual world is a social game. Bottom line is, it is a social game. People are here to interact with other people. Otherwise, they would just play, games on their computer. So the more people you have, the more you're able to interact with others.
Well, plus too, I think when someone new lands and they make a friend, they're much more likely to come back. And so it helps with that return, come back, get settled in, and kind of make IO your home.
So, on that note, I am going to be turning things over to Damien here to interact with cheetahs and tigers. I'm not really sure how to take that. I'm just kidding, Lion. I will turn the floor over to Damien. He's got lots of new things we're doing.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing? I want to first say thank you to everybody who took the time to come and spend some time with us today and go over this. A couple of things I want to talk about. Talk about and kind of using one of the topics that Sugar discussed as sort of a segue. We've had a great deal of growth in terms of new membership, and that's always good. Every new member that lands on the grid is a potential sim owner, potential customer, potential content creator, potential event attender, or whatever. I mean, everybody that comes on the grid has something to offer, whether it's just their presence and being here to interact and socialize with other people. That's all very valuable. But grid growth, true grid growth, is sim sales, obviously. Island Oasis, the way we're structured and the way we have set up IO is that the primary source of revenue for IO is sim sales. We offer a lot of things for free, and I've recently had a note card sent to me from a person here in the meeting. He knows who he is, and I would like to say to him that we have always put a great deal of thought into that, and so having further discussions with Sugar and so on about what can we do to stimulate growth. We're getting all this new fresh blood, so to speak, into IO, which is great. It's what we want. We want those numbers to convert into sim sales and things that can actually help sustain the grid and grow the grid. So what we're doing, and sort of in response to one of the points that was made in the note card, is we're talking about the free land. Now, free land is something that we introduced 3 years ago when we opened IO, and at the time, it's to my knowledge, and I could be wrong on this, but I believe this is accurate. At the time, we were the only grid that offered free land. We did it to try and encourage, it's a numbers game, really. It's a catch-22. It's you need people to get people, kind of thing. So it's kind of hard initially when you're growing a grid right off the bat. That's why most grids never make it past their first year. I would say 90% of grids don't make it past their first year. So it's rare. So we've discussed this, and what we're going to do is we're going to keep the free land, but what we're going to do is we're going to place a restriction on it. We're going to say free land can be used for 60 days. For each member, correct. This has nothing to do with your avatar age. This has to do with number of days used. So even if you're 2 years old and you've never used Freeland, you're free to use it for 60 days. I've recently finished developing a system where we can monitor all of that and manage all of that. So the idea is that as you go on the Freeland and you rent a parcel, it will track not only your current lease period, which is 7 days. Each lease period is 7 days. You have to log on once a week to renew your box. But it's also going to keep a cumulative total of the number of days that you've used Freeland. And when that 60 days is up, then that 60 days is up. And at that point, then we would present you with alternatives. Could you read to me anything in local that I might be missing? No? Okay, because I'm pacing. I'm a pacer. When I talk, I pace. So I'm not looking at my screen right now.
He drives me insane.
Sorry, I can't help it. So the idea is to give people an opportunity, give them a sufficient amount of time to get into the grid, become acclimated, make friends, get settled in, and then, encourage them at that point when that 60 days is up, encourage them to branch out, encourage them to, buy a sim, rent a parcel from someone else who owns a sim and is renting parcels. So that will in turn then stimulate growth. That's the idea. So that's something that we're implementing that will not be effective until August 1st. And at that point, then everybody has a clean slate. So no matter what your age, you're still free to use Freeland. But starting August 1st, that's when the 60 days begins. The 60-day limitation begins. And you don't have to use them all at once. You can say 1 week here, 1 week there, 2 months later, another week here, whatever. But it's a total of 60 days of actual usage of the free land.
One thing I did want to mention with that, if you can all hear me, after your 60 days has expired and you don't have money to rent a parcel from somebody or buy your own region or anything like that, that is another reason why if you become part of our staff on the mentor team or certain positions on the marketing team and things, we do offer that 2,000 prim parcel. So just so you know that there will be other options where it's not going to cost you money.
Right, but the people who take advantage of those opportunities will probably be a small minority compared to the majority of people who will be using up the 60 days. And the idea is to kind of, you know, like the mother bird kicks the baby bird out of the nest, you know, okay, it's time to start, you know, fly on your own, you know what I mean? And, you know, invest something. You've been here for 60 days. I hope you like it here, you know, and maybe invest in the grid and help the grid grow because that helps everybody, you know. So that's the one thing I want to talk about. We're also going to be implementing mainland. The free land changes are effective August 1st. Mainland's going live August 1st. Mainland is, if you look on the map near the northern part of the map, you'll see a large conglomerate of regions that make up a small little continent. That's going to be our first set of mainland. Those sims are broken down into quarter sims, and we'll be selling those for $11 a month. We used to have a premium sim that we would sell for $15 a month, and we took that one away because the overhead on running the simulators was kind of more than what we were getting paid. It really kind of was not worth for us anyway. The mainland is sort of to take the place of that. So for those who can't afford the large investment of $35 or $65 a month for an economy or an elite sim, this is an alternative. Because I would rather someone invest on a mainland parcel than leave the grid. That's just the bottom line. So to help stimulate growth, and as that mainland fills, we'll add more mainland. That's revenue from the grid for the grid, and it helps the grid grow. It helps us expand. It helps us buy new servers. It helps us, you know, create a better environment and to be able to invest into the grid so that you guys have a better experience. That's really the bottom line. The setup fee. That's going to be effective August 1st. 1 second. Yeah, I just had to double check with Sugar. We, on the first of the year, we did some big things. We rolled out a new pricing structure. We rolled out, I believe that was about the time we rolled out the new website. We made some improvements. We added some new things. We did the upgrade right about that time too, didn't we?
Yes.
That was 7.6. That was over Christmas, right? We did that over Christmas. We implemented, or we stopped waiving the setup fee of $25. We've found that that has hurt our growth a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to begin waiving that setup fee once again, so that there's no longer a setup fee, and we'll be adjusting the website accordingly immediately. Most likely I'll be updating that day. And the last thing I have on my list, Sugar's about ready to dart out the door. The last thing I have on my list is the forums. We have forums for people to commune with each other and talk to each other offline, you know, off of the grid. We have a forum on our info portal site. We feel that it would better serve our community if the forums were moved to the main primary website. So that's going to be effective as soon as possible also. So we'll be taking the forums off the info portal site, off that secondary news site, and move it to our primary website. And hopefully that will encourage people because it's much easier to access, quicker to access. There'll be a big, there'll be a link right on the home page to get to the forums. And I'm hoping that that will encourage people to start using them because there's really no activity there now. And I'd like to see the activity. So that's going to be effective as soon as possible.
One thing I did want to mention is how important the info portal is, though. I do not want to put any less importance on that site because that's where you're going to find all the information that you need. Yep. Yes, for news, for updates, but there's also the directory. There's yeah, all different things on the info portal, which I encourage all members to keep checking, keep looking at the info portal, because that's where that's when we have news, that's where it goes. We don't put news like that on our main site. That everything goes through the info portal.
Okay, yeah, that's all I had to talk about today, I believe. Let me take a look at my notes. Oh, no, one last thing, which I didn't have on the note card here. 0.8. I will be, or I have pulled down the newest version of 0.8 and will be testing in beta. When beta is available for testing, I will open it up for certain members who are interested in testing their content, their scripts, their vehicles, Stone. And making sure that 0.8 will serve their needs and there won't be any adverse effects to their product that they're creating, the products they're selling, and see if it addresses some of the glitches that are currently in 0.7.6 that we are been kind of contending with, and hopefully 0.8 will help resolve some of those issues, namely some issues with animations and some issues with physics engine. So we're going to be pulling that version, or we're going to be testing, we're going to be setting it up, and at some point in the near future making that available to the entire membership to access if they choose to help do some beta testing. So that's all I had. I'm going to pass this on to Sophia, and she can take over and go over the things that she wanted to go over. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me.
Hi, testing. Can everyone hear okay? Awesome. For those of you who don't know, I'm Sophia Polino, and I'm head of the marketing department here that takes care of marketing both in-world and out-of-world. Recently, we just added 2 new staff members, so, Gia Valentine on the PR team here. She'll be networking, liaisoning with residents here in-world. The other addition to the marketing department, yeah, say hi to Gia. Very nice lady, I think you'll like her. The other recent addition I had is Elvira Bearsfoot, and she's currently in training. She's going to be helping out with the Pay It Forward program, so be patient with her. So she's just now kind of starting with that. In a moment, I'll talk a little bit about that program. I did want to touch on something because as staff, we want to be able to help everyone that's here in a timely fashion and know who we're supposed to be responding to. We have the mailboxes down at the welcome zone, and what's been happening is a lot of times people will leave a note card in there, and right now it's not really an issue as far as the date, although I would like to see the date on the note card. That's always helpful. I think Sugar, Damien, and I, all 3 of us, are really quick to respond to everybody, usually within 24 hours, if not sooner. But many of you are putting note cards in there, and you're not really saying what the issue is, or you'll say, I need help with blank, but not in what facet you need it. And I realize, you know, you don't have to give all the details, but just something for us to go on. But more importantly, put your name on the note card so we know who it's from. I recently had an incident where I was attempting to help somebody, but a resident had taken an old note card they had in their inventory and they just typed over it and put it in the box. So when I'm responding, that person had no clue what the heck I was talking about. And they said, you know, I said, well, did you pass any note cards to anyone else recently? And they're like, well, yeah, I can, you know, they're trying to go down a list. So I end up the long way finding out who actually wrote the note card and needed the assistance. Otherwise, I would have been able to help them sooner. So, and that's my goal. I just want to be able to, for all of us Polinos to be able to help you sooner. Keeping that in mind, we will be changing our mailboxes a little bit to make it a little bit easier. It'll end up giving you a note card that'll have 3 fields for you to fill in, you know, your avatar name and the date, a little bit about what the issue is. So that'll kind of help everyone. We do not have the new mailboxes in place yet, but that's coming up. So until we do have those in place, please remember to at least put your name on there so we know who we need to get back to quickly, because it's proven that sometimes I can't just always go to properties to see who's the note card, because that isn't really the author of the note card in all instances. So that's kind of one thing. As I mentioned earlier, kind of interrupting them, I do have the Island Oasis Merchant Support note card that we can give out. Feel free to hit Gia up for one, or myself or whatever. But what it is it's to let you know how to network both in and out of world. And these are all free measures. You know, Damon and Sugar were kind enough to list a lot of those earlier when they were speaking. But feel free to ask us for the note card, because at least you'll always have an inventory. You can always refer back to it. We're not asking you to remember all these ways. But to help you have the best success you can have here, that's our goal. So we want to encourage everybody to take advantage of that we have offered. 2 things that we redid the Shop the Blocks just over the past month or so. That's kind of program has been revamped a little bit. And there's a region dedicated to that now. On this grid, we don't have free shops, but what we want to do is to make sure that those merchants who are out there, you have a variety of different locations out here in the grid, we want to make sure you're seen. So this Shop the Blocks program, it's really great because it helps in a variety of different ways. Number one, it kind of guarantees that a new resident or even an older one who's on the grid can go to one location, kind of pick up a bunch of landmarks, you know, to go to these different stores, get your name out. But it's also nice to be able to see maybe what you sell. Maybe put a group joiner out there, grow your group that way. Shop the Blocks is free for anybody to join, anybody to participate in. Everybody qualifies for a free little kind of kiosk booth. I would just ask that if you're selling anything from the booth, that it's not over 100 Polino in price. The benefit of that is it also gives residents here on the grid a nice location to go where they know that everything up there is going to be 100 or less. So the only requirement we ask is you must have a landmark giver to your main store, because that's the point. Let's get people going out and finding where you're located. That's one of the big things. So if anybody's interested in Shop the Blocks, hit me up. I've got note cards and information and can get you set up really quickly. The other one is our Pay It Forward program. One of the ways I think we kind of pay it forward is our volunteer staff. They don't get paid a real life salary. So we do have the perks in world here, like Sugar mentioned, of the 2,000 prem land for you to have. I know with my staff in the marketing department, sometimes there's ways to earn currency with that. Sometimes when you're a greeter, there's a way to earn currency with that. But it's nice to be able to kind of pay it back to those people who are already helping the grid and to help other residents. So the Pay It Forward program basically is a little kiosk that just kind of sits out at your store, and it's a landmark giver is what it is, or actually it's a note card giver that has a lot of different landmarks in it. So the benefit of that is you may be one location, but there's going to be all these kiosks and all these variety of locations where anybody can also see your landmark back to your store. And it doesn't cost anything to participate, just give a landmark. We do ask that you have a free gift or group gift in your store, because that's the point, to let residents know they can go around and pick up things. On the landmark note card where people touch the kiosk at the top, it kind of lets people know these are merchants who are paying it forward by giving you a gift. Make sure to shop around their store, see what else they have to offer. So we're hopefully getting people out into your stores. So hopefully that'll be a win-win situation for everyone. Because we do have volunteer staff, anyone who participates, we do ask that you give a free gift that we can put in our staff appreciation center, so those volunteer people can have the opportunity to maybe go pick up something there for free too. It doesn't have to be something huge, just an item of gesture. So anybody needs or wants information on the Pay It Forward, let me know about that too, and we can help you out with that. But the biggest thing is let's find ways to let everyone know that you're here, making navigation a little bit easier. Sugar and Damien mentioned the information portal. We are trying to get a directory of businesses up there. So if you have a business out there, let me know. You can even go directly on the website and just submit it directly there, or you can pass me a note card to let me know where you are. So we can get your store listed there too, because we don't want anyone overlooked. And obviously participation in any of this is voluntary, but it certainly can't hurt your business to participate, because we're here just to try to help you succeed.
Sophia, I have a question about the business directory, and
Yes,
this might
ma'am.
address other people's questions.
Yes.
If you're renting land or renting parcels or whatever, is that also able to be included in the business directory? Is that I don't know what the
The
technical
the
name of
the
it
the
would be.
business directory has all kinds of things. Here, let me pull the site up and I'll read off some of the different little sections in there. The business directory starts off with enrolled stores. There's two links at the top. One where you can add your business directly through the website. You can just type it right in there. Or you can visit there's a link to visit our marketplace to help bring awareness that we do have a marketplace. So then there's a listing of enrolled stores. If anyone has services they want listed, that might be someone who is taking photographs, someone who is maybe DJing, that's a service, someone maybe who's a landscaper, that's a service. There's a listing for anyone who has a club. If you want your club listed, put it there. There's a miscellaneous section, which earlier we had New Life Christian Center listed. We need to update this page, obviously, so that's what I'm hiring staff to help me do. There's an adult section if you have an adult-related business. There's real estate if you have a real estate business. So no matter kind of what you're doing here in World, there should be a location for you to list yourself there. Did that answer
Okay.
the question, or I'm
Yep,
hoping?
it did. Thank you.
Okay. And that's about all. So I'll turn it back over to Sugar, and she can open the floor for questions and whatnot.
Thanks, Sophia. One thing is fact, if all three of us want to head up to the podium here. One thing I also did want to mention, we have a bonus referral program, and that's for any member on the grid. If you refer somebody to buy a sim, and they do buy one, that's all they have to do is let us know. Yeah, Damien said there's a place on the order form where you put their name in. You will get 1,500 Palinos, which cashing out is $5. So for every sim, more or less every sim you sell, you get $5. So you can either choose to take that money, leave it as Palinos, and buy things in world or whatever, or you can choose to cash out. Either way. But that's a good way to help you guys make money and help us. So now I am going to open the floor for any questions, comments, concerns, anything that you guys would like to ask us. All right, Nikki and Daisy are typing. Correct, Daisy. There is no longer going to be a setup fee.
That's correct, yes.
Would you ever consider being able to convert lindens to here? As a fact, we were just talking about that. That is kind of SL has made that difficult.
Yeah, we talked about this the other day, and Sophia's going to do some research for us just to ensure that there's no issues as far as LLTOS violation, to make sure that that's not something that is prohibited. But if in fact we determine that it's something we can do, and I'm pretty confident there's other grids doing it, we're going to put, we're going to put a process in place where it's an automated process where you would deposit lindens into a terminal in SL, and then your avatar here in IO would receive those in Palinos. So that's something we have talked about, and we are in the process of sort of the planning stages of that. But yes.
To address that, Nikki, we previously had a terminal in place in Second Life, and several people had used it for a long time and were able to convert their lindens over here quite successfully. When I met with the linden staff, when they updated their terms of service regarding currency exchange, I wasn't quite on board with that because I'm all about trying to build and grow this grid. And right now what's in place is that we would have to be able to allow the conversion of the currency here back to Second Life, which it sounds like a great thing on the surface, but ultimately what it does is it robs the currency that's currently here in this grid. It's taking money from here to support another virtual world. And I know in reverse it sounds like we're doing the opposite, but there's no reason if someone's not using currency in place and they want to use it somewhere else. I mean, I get that. So, but I'm still looking into it because there's many other different companies who do similar things. But I'm just making sure that we're all on board legally with everything because I'm not going to put us in a position where our grid's violating anyone's terms of service. And yeah, there are a lot of places that are laundering, and so that's why after their terms of service, I had closed down the terminal, the currency exchange terminal that we previously had in place, because under their current guidelines, it would have been violating something. As it was, we weren't at that point because they had just changed, you know. So that's why, for those of you who are old enough to remember when we did have a currency exchange, that's why it stopped. So we want to make sure that we're not violating anything ever. So
yeah, so if you guys ever see us in SL, I can tell you that everything that we are doing is legal and legitimate. We are not violating any terms of service whatsoever. We try to stay very up to date on what SL's terms of service is, so that way we don't violate anything. Does anybody else have any other questions or comments? Not unless I'm getting it, Lion.
Also, for those of you who are new here, new to the grid, I would like to just point out, yeah, I think I agree. I think mainland would be good here. We have a couple other programs that some of you may not be aware of, and that is the cashback stimulus program, which we can thank Lion for. That was his recommendation, suggestion to us. For those of you who may not be aware, when you spend 200 Pelinos or more in a calendar month, you get 2% of that back. That's our way. Hey me. That's our way of saying thank you for patronizing other vendors here in World. And then for you landowners, you sim owners, we have a program called stipend program, region owner stipends. And so depending on the type of region you own, you receive a monthly stipend of in-world currency as a thank you also.
Right now they are running every 60 days. So if you put a classified in today, 60 days from now, it will be deleted. The reason we do that is to help because especially with open sim grids, there is always a very big turnover. People come and go, and then their landmarks come and go. And when a new person comes and they're looking for, say, hair, for example, and they find all these old landmarks that are no longer there, that's very frustrating for them. So it's a way of making sure we clean things out and keep things up to date.
Right. SL and other grids, they accomplish the same thing, but they do that by charging you for that classified. And so that if you create a classified in SL, that will continue to run for as long as you have currency in your balance. Once your currency balance is empty, classified stops running. That's how they control it. We don't charge for classified, so therefore we had to come up with a number that we thought was reasonable. And at that point, there's an automated process that runs every day. And it checks for any classifieds that are 60 days old. And if they are, they're removed from the system.
Well, we try to give the 60 days instead of just 30 days because sometimes, it can be a pain to always remember, oh, my classified, needs to be updated because there's so many other things going on with each individual member, and then they forget to do it, and then it's no longer in there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you have to kind of find a balance, right? We have to find a balance of what is effective for the grid. What do we do with them? We delete them. After 60 days, they're deleted.
We
They're
put them in a
removed
private
a
stash.
little box. And we keep them in storage until we can use them later. They're deleted. I have a process that runs every night that I developed, and every evening it goes through, and any classifieds that are 60 days old or older, they get deleted. Yeah. You have to recreate them. Every 60 days, you recreate your ad.
The best way to do that, Stone, is actually make a note card of what you want your classified to say. Put the landmark in there. Put your texture in there, right in the note card. So that way it's real easy. Take you 30 seconds to recreate that note card or that classified.
And the 60 days wasn't just some arbitrary number that we picked. Sorry about that. It wasn't some arbitrary number that we picked. It was a number that we felt was would work best for our members. So it's effective for the grid because it helps us ensure that the integrity of search is going to be valuable for the end user. Yeah, it's 6 times a year. You create your ad, but at the same time, not too frequent that the end user is going to forget, and then a month later wonder why they're not selling anything, and forgetting that they didn't create their classified ad. Because you got to remember, people coming to OpenSim grids oftentimes visit many OpenSim grids, not just one, and so. And each OpenSim grid runs a little bit differently, so it's easy to forget. On one grid I have to recreate my ad, another grid I don't, because they just let them pile up. So it's trying to find a balance there.
Are there any more questions or comments? Thank you. Um, just to kind of note for a second, um, for those of you who do follow Hypergrid Business, we are number 4 now. We've been number 5 for I think 2 years, almost 3 years.
Six for a while.
Yep. Oh yeah, we were 6 for a while. We are number 4 and have been there now for 2 months. And those stats she collects from all OpenSim grids around the world.
Yeah, there's 200, currently there's 219 OpenSim grids that track their statistics on Hypergrid Business. We have consistently, since almost the beginning, been in the top 10. And for a long time there, we were in the top 6. And then for a while, we were in top 5. As of last month, we jumped to top 4. In fact, we were the only grid, I think, that gained active members last month where everybody else lost active members. And that includes Worlds, that includes Aviation, that includes OS Grid. Yeah. So we had a positive month last month, really positive, and I'm hoping that grows and continues. And so far, from what I've seen so far this month, what I've been tracking, it looks like we're going to hit that number again this month.
Awesome. Yep, we are striving to be number 1. The difference, I won't mention any names of other grids, but one thing that you can be assured of here, which we stand on our integrity about that, the numbers, that's why we give our stats every month, whether they are good or they are bad, they are true. Other places we have found proofs showing that they kind of play their numbers to help their grid. We have never done that. We never will do that. We stand on our integrity and our members. This is what we offer. This is how big we are. This is how much money we have. You know?
The problem with manipulating numbers is you give a false impression as to what is here. So people read the numbers and say, wow, that sounds great. And then they get there and say, where is everybody? And so it kind of hurts you in the end. So the numbers we present are real and true.
Correct. People won't stay then. And that's why some grids have, bigger numbers, but the amount of people that are actually there is extremely small. So we don't claim to be a huge grid, but again, we're not a small grid. We are who we are. We are Island Oasis. We are a great community. We have great people here. We have great content creators. It does take time, and with OpenSim grids, it takes more time than, say, people in SL. But it's okay, because we have always stood strong. We've stood strong with our beliefs and how we run the grid, and we just kind of stay that course.
Even if it's not very popular at the time.
Yeah. There's times where, any of you seen a Denny's commercial with the Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity glasses? That was years ago. I might be dating myself. But anyway, there's been times where we tell our stats where I want to wear those glasses, like, okay, we're really down this month, guys. But, it's accurate. Those are the stats, good, bad, or in between. So, don't I still have those? I don't know, but I should find those because I use that phrase all the time. Does anybody else have any other questions, comments, concerns that you would like addressed? Going once, going twice. Okay, and as always, I would like to thank everybody again for being a part of Island Oasis. Me and Damien can make the grid for you guys, but you guys are the people that make Island Oasis. So thank each and every one of you, and I hope to see you guys around the grid. If anybody would like to